You're overthinking it. Watch as we take these basic blobs and turn them into fabulous florals. Here's the deal. We're working in watercolor. We're going to make some messy blobs, and I'm going to show you how to turn them into flowers. Hey friends, my name is Shayda Campbell, and today we are working in a little Strathmore sketchbook, and we have a filbert brush here. You can use any set of paints. This is my Shayda Campbell set, which is available on Amazon.com. I'll link it. Let's just get right into it. You're going to mix up a light pink. I'm using rose madder hue mixed with a little bit of white, and then you can mix in like a little bit of Naples yellow or a little bit of burnt umber just to give it that peachy, just so it's not too bright of a pink. I like to mix a little bit of brown in or a little yellow to make it, you know what I mean. And then take that filbert, and we are going to paint like the messiest daisy you've ever seen. The filbert brush makes a really nice, like long, flat petal that has a rounded edge. I'll do a real close-up so you can see. Okay, it's like a starburst, like so messy. You can go over it or just leave it. And then let's do a half one. So maybe 4 petals. You can kind of start with a semicircle, like a curving line to help guide you. And then that's it. It's so messy, it's gonna be so cute, I promise you. Next up, mix a little rose madder hue with ultramarine with lots and lots of white, lots of water. Maybe add a little bit of that turquoise if you want, but a very, very light purple. With watercolor, it's always best to start light, if you recall. And then for this one, we're gonna paint like the world's messiest cone shape, like an upside down ice cream cone. And then I just do little oval shaped brush strokes, little brush marks there towards the bottom. So the cone gives way to just some messy little ovals. All right, we're moving right along. Next up, we are going to paint like a messy daisy. So you want a very light white color. So I'm using white with like a hint of burnt umber, maybe a hint of that purple. It gives you a nice gray, like a warm lavender gray. And then we are painting the flowers that you paint when you're a kid, like 3 or 4 petals, and just, to give that quintessential kind of doodle flower. And the filbert, again, is great for creating natural looking petal shapes. Okay, next up, I want to mix a light blue, and we're going to do a similar flower, but just in a different color because we're crazy like that. So mix in a couple of those blues into the white that's already on the palette. And then here's a different approach to basically the same flower. Just paint X's. You don't have to have 5 petals on that basic doodle flower. Just do an X. It could not be more simple. And the nice thing with these little X flowers is if you cluster a whole bunch together and you make some a little smaller and some a little larger, they look really cute. And trust me, these messy blobs are going to turn into something so pretty. And I am going to prove to you that just maybe, you are overthinking your flowers, because you really can start with the most basic shapes. And right now we're going to do some O's to go with our X's. How basic is that? A beautiful red with this set is rose madder hue combined with burnt umber. The rose madder hue is a gorgeous magenta that's great for mixing. And we are going to do really messy O's. Almost like a heart shape, but still like an oval. You can see it's very, whatever. And then here's one last flower. A circle, just do a circle on the page with a nice watery paint and then kind of make it into a bit of a starburst. That will give you a gorgeous dahlia or a marigold. I added a little bit more purple to this cone because I just felt like it was too light. But that's that. We're going to let that dry completely. And once it has, I'll show you how to take basic blobs and simple shapes and turn them into some really sweet flowers. Before we continue, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, me. Yes, I'm sponsoring your next creative adventure, and I promise it's going to be a joyful one. So if you're just starting your art journey and not sure where to begin, I've created these beginner-friendly e-courses for you. Whether you love my free YouTube tutorials and you want to go deeper, or you're ready to confidently dive into watercolor and floral illustration, I am here to guide you every step of the way. Picture this, a cozy cup of tea, your favorite sketchbook, and me with you in your home, gently walking you through all the basics, from choosing the right brushes to mixing colors with ease. No pressure, just play. And the best part, the summer e-course sale is still going strong. Use code SUMMERSALE25 to save 30%, but only for the first 100 signups. So don't wait, grab your spot now and let's make some art together. Okay, getting back to it, I want to grab a bunch of different art supplies. I've got colored pencils here, I've got brush pens, and the first thing I'm going to do is take one of these brush pens, a nice warm honey brown, and we are going to add a stamen to those cone flowers. So a circle on the one and then a semicircle on the other. You can see how I'm doing that. And then I am taking a light, well, sort of a medium pink and outlining the petals and doing these really messy lines, like lines that are very much not straight, and they do follow the shape of the petal, and you can also do kind of a raggedy edge on the end of some of the petals. I grabbed a slightly darker, like a light red actually for this second one, and just did the same thing. And then I am taking a really warm brown, almost a red brown, and just doing a bunch of semicircles around the stamen. To finish this flower, I took a darker brown and did some like messy scribbly circles on the stamen, and that was all there was to it. To complete these little white flowers, I took a sort of honey-colored brown, like a light brown, and just did kind of a scribbly bit in the center. You can really see there when it's close up. And then I used a light gray to outline the flowers. That's totally optional, and when I outline, I like to make sure that I don't really follow the watercolor perfectly. You can do heart-shaped petals, rounded, but definitely try to have some negative space, a bit of page showing through. And then you could also add a few messy scribbly lines at the center of those white flowers. And that's exactly what I'm also going to do on the blue X flowers, is take a medium blue, or maybe even a slightly darker blue, or maybe even a lavender color, and just do some little lines to give those flowers a little bit of a concave look. From there, we can grab a brush pen or a brown colored pencil and do some dots at the center to show the stamen. And then if you want to, you could outline these flowers too, just like we did for the gray ones. I'm giving them more of a ruffly edge on the outside of the petal. And then I love this tip. Just draw in some extra flowers that don't have the watercolor. It gives your art such a sophisticated touch. Time to turn this weird purple cone into a lupin. And so I'm taking a medium lilac color or lavender, and I'm just drawing little ovals that come to a bit of a point, so sort of a pointed oval. And then you can scribble shade the bottom of that oval. You see me doing some different sizes of ovals or heart shapes. It's very messy, very free. Just kind of go with whatever paint you put down, or don't go with it. Draw some ovals where there is no paint. That works too. And then I started coloring in kind of around the oval shapes toward the bottom. I thought that looked kind of good and was a nice way to shade. And then what are we going to do? Take a dark color, could be black, could be purple, and do a messy oval in the center of these red flowers to create a poppy. And you can do the semicircles around that if you like, just like we did for the cone flower. You could outline these if you want. They do not need it. At this point, you kind of get into like what looks good in your sketchbook. What speaks to you? A page like this is such a great way to figure out your own artistic style because you're really playing and letting yourself truly experiment. Okay, and then what we are going to do next is bring all of this together. And I do that by taking a single green, and I'm using a nice warm green with a Tombow brush pen here, and we are going to draw in some stems. We really need to connect all of these flowers and make sure they're not just floating in space, and give them some stems and leaves. So first I did the cone flower, nice curving, thick stems with big bushy leaves. And then I'm going to come over here to the lupin and just do some green in between some of those ovals, and then of course drop down and do a long stem that reaches to the bottom of the page. I also put a leaf there off to the left hand side. One tip is make some of the stems a bit thinner, so some of the smaller flowers can have really thin, delicate stems, whereas the larger flowers could have thicker stems, and it'll just give a nice bit of detail and contrast to this part of the art. And if you're wondering, could you continue doing this in watercolor? Yes, absolutely. Everything you've seen me do could be done with a small watercolor brush. So all the little lines, all the little dots and details, you could be using a darker, more pigmented watercolor paint and a really tiny brush and doing a wet on dry technique. The reason I like to reach for some different types of media is because of the textural elements, like adding a crayon or colored pencil gives a really beautiful texture. With marker, it can almost look, with a brush pen, I find you can almost imitate the look of the watercolor. But if you're just getting started with painting, having the control of a pencil or marker is so empowering. So that's one reason that I like to teach it. But also I find even if you're really great with paint, there's something about reaching for different art supplies that I think kind of gives you that childish feel, like you feel like a kid again, just playing in your sketchbook. So for those reasons, feeling like a kid, having the control of a pencil or pen and the texture of crayons and marker and pencils, those are the reasons that we reach for those other supplies. Now, I thought this piece needed a little more contrast, so that's why you see me go in with that really dark purple. And as I said, marker or brush pen can really imitate watercolor, so you don't even necessarily know that those flowers are a totally different media. Not that it matters. You could have any type of flower, any medium here. Again, just playing around. I thought a little purple might look nice on those white flowers and give them a little more oomph. But at this point, you may not be following mine exactly. You may be doing whatever looks right to you. You can also use pencil to add more stems here, and of course to add design and detail on the leaves themselves. But I am coming into the home stretch. I think I had such fun with this piece, and I really hope that you enjoyed seeing that maybe, just maybe, you are overthinking those flowers. You can start with basic shapes, messy blobs, and make something truly beautiful. Want the worksheet to help you with these flowers? Go become a patron. It's a nice thing to do. It's a lovely creative community, and of course, you get weekly bonus content. Thanks for watching today, friends. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon with a new tutorial.